All right, you are listening to SynthWorld on 96.5 LP, Sarasota, Bradenton, WSLR. And this is your host, DJ Nomad, with Spain-based synthwave duo, the Last Concorde. Thanks for coming, guys.
Hola,
hello.
Hola, thanks for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I'm very excited. I've been a big fan of your music since I kind of stumbled upon you guys after this last release you had in the fall. So excited to speak with you guys and dive into it. So first question here is a kind of a baseline, get the starter question here is, can you explain how both of you, and actually let me get your names as well. It's Jordi and, how do you pronounce your first name?
Yeah, I am Jordi. It's George in Catalan. In Barcelona, we speak Spanish and Catalan. And Jordi, it's in Catalan. Jorge, it's in Spanish. And George is in English.
My name is Xavi in Catalan. And in Spanish, it's Javier.
Well, I want to ask you guys, can you dive into just a little bit how you both kind of got into music in general? And then how did how did synthwave music kind of come onto your radar, if you will?
Well, I always like electronic music in general and techno in particular. But I think it was with Daft Punk's Homework album that I really started to investigate to find out how they create those rhythms. I started exploring synths, drum machines, and samplers and all this stuff. And that's when I bought my first machine. I bought a Roland MC303. And I started making loops and things like that. Then over time, I started listening to a lot more music. The movie Drive came out with its BCO and Kavinsky, and until now.
And I am Jordi, so I started playing the guitar when I was a teenager. So I used to play in some indie bands or grunge bands. Later on, I became interested in electronic music too, and became a DJ. I worked as a DJ in clubs in Barcelona for some time. And after some time away from music and due to the lockdown during the pandemic, I started making music again. And I think reaching Synthwave was a very natural progression for us. Coming from a background in rock and electronic music, it's like a middle ground. So it was very natural.
Absolutely. Definitely lots of overlap.
We go on to discuss their formation and first few albums.
When did you guys form? You mentioned the pandemic. Was it that time period when you actually formed the Last Concorde?
Yeah. We always have been in music, but not together. So during the pandemic, we started sending ideas to each other and recorded a demo. Was a game in the beginning, but we sent the demos and some labels said, "Oh, it's okay. So if you want, we can release an album." So, but was for fun, just for fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like that process was pretty fast, though. Am I right? From making the album to releasing it with an actual record label, that's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was very. We have released 3 albums in 3 years, so yeah, and long albums with 15 tracks, 16 tracks, 14 tracks. So yeah, a lot of tracks.
Yes, and not a lot of kind of filler tracks or anything. I mean, genuinely quality tracks through and through, no doubt. So
thank you.
Now I want to know, how did you come up with the name?
Okay, the Last Concorde wasn't our first choice, but I remember when we sent the demo to Outrun Recordings, our label, they said, okay, your music is good, but your name is horrible. So, so could you change it for us? And we say, of course, no problem. We used to call, well, our last name was Jugoplastica 84. You in the States, maybe you don't know what's Jugoplastica 84 in the States, but Jugoplastica was a best basketball team, very famous in Europe.
Yeah, the thing is, we love basketball. We play basketball. Well, we played basketball, and we decided this name, but the label says, okay, guys, you have to change it. So it's no problem.
And we choose the Concorde because we like the way it sounds. And
was there like a movie that
Concorde,
brought it up, or did you just come out of, how did you just pulled it out of thin air? How would you?
The Concorde, it's like a symbol of the future, but in the past, no? And we love that. We hope it doesn't end the same as like the Concorde, but yeah, we love it. We think it's cool, Concorde, luxury, but futurist, but in the past.
All right. Well, I just want to take a moment to remind all of our listeners right now, we are listening to Spain-based synthwave duo, The Last Concorde, and we are diving into some of their music, creative process, and background. So I also want to dive into, speaking of creative process, you're the first duo that I've had on the program. So I've always been interested to ask this question. So how do you two, when you're producing, how do you achieve the, creative balance so that you're both, truly satisfied with the track and releasing it?
Well, the thing is, we try to get together once a week, which is not easy since we both have our jobs, family, children, and blah, blah, blah. And normally Jordi comes to my house where I have a small home studio, and he brings his laptop with some ideas, some loops, some sounds or some melodies. And then between the two of us, we decide what could end up in a song or not, and we develop it. Basically, each one works on ideas. And when we get together, we decide what is worth it and what is not. And the truth is that we tend to agree a lot. And if not, the fact of being brothers also gives us the confidence to say things clearly. I mean, sure. I can say, Jordi, this is not good. We have to change, or we have to do a different thing. I don't know. It's easy for me to work with my brother. I know him. I know I know how he thinks. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, and just for our listeners, Xavi and Jordi are, yes, siblings, brothers. So that is also a very unique, super unique attribute to your music and your musicianship. So, yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. We are like Oasis, but in Synthwave. We are the Gallagher's, the new Gallagher's.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's easy. We are real brothers, so we can tell each other everything. Maybe I'm more of a composer, and Xavi is more a producer.
So, another question for you there, kind of mentioning that you're, still somewhat new to the genre in general, but as long as you've been paying attention to it, how do you think synthwave and some of the subgenres nearby it have kind of evolved as you've been, paying attention?
I think synthwave is still a small niche. I don't know how to say in English, niche or niche. Yeah.
Niche.
Yeah. Also, Stranger Things or Dream Kit, our label partner, have brought it closer to the general public, to the mainstream public. But sadly, in Spain, it remains marginalized in the clubs, for example. It's difficult to see synthwave producers in the clubs, and it's weird for me because it's electronic music. It's okay, you can call it synthwave, but it's electronic music. So right. I think must have its space in the clubs as techno or another stuff. And music festivals in Spain, there are a lot of good music festivals in Spain, but no synthwave artist in this festival. So it's weird because I think synthwave it's an easy music. I think it's when people discover it, a lot of friends told me, wow, it's nice. I can work while I'm listening to synthwave. It's weird. It's weird. I can understand why synthwave it's not mainstream.
But it has made inroads here in the United States. Now still not huge, but definitely areas where it is making progress. So I want to ask both of you, how do you think that can change? How can synthwave producers, artists break into the mainstream and get the recognition they deserve?
We have started changing the label. We don't speak about our music as a synthwave. We speak about our music as an electronic music, retro inspired, okay, but electronic music. We don't want to I don't know how can I say, but we prefer to speak about retro disco. I think maybe it's the name. It's not Kavinsky never says he plays synthwave.
I do want to ask you too a quick question about your production process. I don't want to dive in too deep just because I know speaking about this we can get into the weeds and it can take a long time. But I want to ask either of you if you have a favorite VST or analog synth that you use, or a DAW maybe that you prefer to produce with.
No, in our songs, we basically use VSTs and not many. I could tell you Diva, PGH, Spire, and a lot of, we use Ableton as a DAW, and we use a lot of native plugins from Ableton. They are fantastic and they sound great.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm not a person who follows all the news about new BSTs and stuff like this. And I don't know, over time I learned that less is more. I prefer to take 3-4 BST and I know how to use it. I know how to get a sound, and for me, it's enough. And as for hardware, we have some samplers and a Roland MC707, but we only use it in the live shows, just to play the drums and to fire some sounds. But in the songs, it's only BSTs.
Jordi, what about you? Do you have, I know you're more the composer type, but is there anything that you love to record with or play with?
Yeah, but Xavi speak about it. I don't want to. You have to understand me. Sorry, but I don't want to waste a lot of time looking for a sound. I prefer to something more fresh, more fast. So the sound, it's not important for me in the beginning. So I use Diva for the bass, maybe Tal for the pad, and after this, with Xavi, we work in the sound. But I must say I love Diva.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more important to get the melodies.
After covering their influences and creative process, we discussed their newest album, Flashback.
Speaking of your most recent album, I want to dive into it. Flashback came out last August, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I just want to ask you about that. I mean, just an incredible album. And for me, it really feels like a step forward for your evolution musically. So I want to ask, like, has anything changed for you guys generally? And can you, maybe speak to your influences on Flashback?
But honestly, we think Flashback is our best album because we have learned something, not a lot, but we have learned. Our first album was really, really fresh, but very. We didn't waste a lot of time thinking about the tracks, and was okay. It's okay. No thing about it. Let's go release. No, maybe we with Flashback we have think more about each track, about the structure. So Xavi is better producer, and I think I'm better composer than in the first album. So
I think more or less the same. We spent a lot of time with this album. Maybe with the first one and the second one was with the first one was super quick. Everything we have, I don't know. The label says, okay, these songs, and that's it. And we say, okay, come on, let's do it. And now with the time, we have learned a lot of things. And we spent a lot of time with this album.
We're getting close to the end of the interview here. I just had two kind of wrap-up questions for you guys, but more important ones, really, which is, what are the plans for your future? And, I know you mentioned that you do play live, so I want to know, where can we see you? What are the plans for touring?
We don't think a lot about the future. We met every week, so we try to do cool tracks to show our friends. Hey man, check this. Do you like it? Yeah, I like it. Okay, but not a lot of plans. Maybe we would love to release an Italo disco EP, for example. We are.
Ooh, that sounds
yeah. We
cool.
we have some Italo disco stuff, and we would love it to release it, maybe on our own, but we have to think about it, and maybe start to think about the fourth album. But we are from Spain. People here don't do a lot of plans.
Big cultural difference there, sure. What about the live shows, though? Do you at least have a couple shows in line, or do you have plans for 2024 to play at least a few live performances?
We plan a Synthwave festival in Spain, in Barcelona.
Oh, wow.
This year will be the third edition. So we are working on it. Last year was Ona Electronica. We have some shows, but we can speak about it yet.
Okay.
Maybe in a couple of weeks. But in 2 weeks, we will play in Barcelona in a retro disco party in Barcelona, in Fredonia.
Wow.
Nice place. Yeah, but we play live shows. So you can call us.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, we'll have to just get an update from you guys to tell people, where to see you. I want you guys to let our listeners know, where can they find your music and anything, related to the Last Concorde.
Well, they can find us in Spotify and all the platforms, and Bandcamp and YouTube. In all the platforms, all the music platforms.
Yeah, we have some cassettes available in Bandcamp, and I think CDs too. So
sure. Well, that's awesome. Wow.
No, we really appreciate your nice words, and thank you for having us.
Yeah, and I apologize it took me so long to get you guys on the program. I just want to thank both of you for your time and the insight. Gosh, it was so great speaking with both of you. Any final parting words for our listeners?
Yeah, we love you.
And we want to go to the States.
Yeah. We would love to play in the
States.
States. Yeah.
If there's something I can do, I live in St. Petersburg, which is close to Tampa. If there's anything I can do to help make that happen, let me know. Well, I hope to see you there. Again, thank you guys. Thank you, the Last Concorde, for being here on Planet SynthWorld. And until I hear from you guys again, take care and keep doing your thing.
Okay. Thank you very much.